What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the second episode of the Something About Everything podcast. This is a podcast where you learn a little something about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Caleb, and with me today are some of my good friends, Cooper,
Howdy, howdy.
Marco,
Hola.
and Blake.
What's up, guys?
We're going to do a little mishmash of random stuff today, like some conspiracies and other ish that we got. So I guess one of you guys can go ahead and get at her.
All right, since we're talking about conspiracies, I think first I kind of want to get into more extraterrestrial conspiracies. First off, kind of set a basis for all of us. Do you guys believe that there's extraterrestrial life out there somewhere in the universe? We can go around the table. Marco.
Definitely. I mean, there's aliens. There's aliens in China, Mexico, Canada.
Not the.
Oh,
I think you're talking about a different type of aliens.
no, I do believe in aliens. Yeah, they're much cooler than us for sure.
Blake, do you have any ideas on the subject?
Well, I mean, there's no way that there's not. Because I feel like we haven't even, obviously we haven't, explored any of our, I don't know. It's just a giant thing because space is huge and we don't know much about it. So, I mean, I think that there has to be something out there. And maybe if Musk gets us to Mars, we'll find something cool out there. Who knows?
I don't. I'm trying to find like one of the streamers / YouTubers I watched. His name is Blarg on my Schnoople. I was listening to a podcast with him and a couple other guys, and they were saying some stuff about whether they thought aliens exist. And he had like this big, long scientific spiel that I can't find at the moment. But he went into like a lot of detail about like the different super sciencey stuff. Oh, here it is. I found it. So guess let's go ahead and check this out.
You do realize how many things have to work for there to be life, right?
Oh, I know.
Like, I got into this on stream yesterday because some idiots in my chat, but like, for anything to go right, you have to have a sun collapsing on itself, and that has to be hot enough where it fuses 3 helium nuclei.
But what if their life is different?
Carbon.
What if their life is different?
No. But that's the thing, is you need carbon, because if you don't have carbon, then it's just a primordial compounds, which no matter how you fuse them, they can't turn into living creatures. You need carbon.
That was a 4-syllable word, and I'm lost.
You need carbon, and that needs to go into a certain place called the Goldilocks zone around a sun that is hot enough, and it needs to stay in that Goldilocks zone, and it will have an ellipse, which is how the percentage of like how it goes around that sun. That needs to be like between 0 and 5%, because if it goes past that, the winters will be too cold.
So yeah, I don't know how accurate any of that stuff is. I haven't fact checked any of it, but it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And I guess since we're here, I'll just give him a little plug. That was the Goons podcast. They're really funny and have some hilarious discussions. So yeah, you should definitely go check them out. Anyway, you guys can go now.
So I think I'm kind of torn on the subject. I do believe that space is gigantic. And I know that the mathematical odds and scientific odds are that we're not the only species out there. But I do have, I don't know, we haven't found anything yet. And even if there was, like some guy was talking about, he believes aliens exist, but he thinks that there's no way we could ever find them. Space is just too large. Like our nearest galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy, is, let me look it up here, is so many light years away it's not even funny. And a light year is the distance light travels in 1 year. Light year is the distance light travels in 1 year. For relevance, light travels from the Earth to the Sun, or from the Sun to the Earth, actually, which is 93 million miles. Travels at 8.5 minutes. The closest galaxy to the Milky Way that we know of is 2.537 million light years away, which means that it would take 2.537 million years traveling at the speed of light, which so far as we know is physically impossible. It breaks the laws of physics. So the only way that we will never come into contact with aliens if they are real.
Is it possible that aliens are a lot ahead of us in technology than we are?
Yes, that's true, but the laws of physics don't change. The gravity is still the same whether we're writing with pen and ink as we did in the 16th century or today. We still fall at 9.8 meters per second per second.
I
That
mean,
doesn't change. That's a law of the world. And so far as we know, to all of our scientific knowledge, you cannot go the speed of light without either infinite energy or reducing the distance to zero, I believe.
yeah, but key words you said our scientific knowledge. Their scientific knowledge. They can figure things out with magnetic fields, with all that stuff. I'm not a scientist, so.
Well, Caleb, what was that podcast with that dude on the guy that worked at Area 51 that said that he was talking with or he was in charge of working on the anti-gravity thing. You know what I'm talking about?
It was on Joe Rogan, but I can't remember his name.
So basically they found this, I think it was an orb. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But basically they found this thing that the scientists were working on that could defy gravity. It's pretty interesting, but I don't know too much about it.
Sorry, I don't mean to like stomp on your parade, but most things that are named anti-gravity aren't really anti-gravity. They can just resist gravity and then go more so. It's like an airplane. Airplane is technically anti-gravity, but gravity still affects it. It just outworks that force.
It was Bob Lazar, by the way. Shameless plug. Go watch
Yep.
Joe Rogan Experience.
And I think it's on Netflix too, isn't it? Or it was.
Yeah, probably.
To go on to my next question, do you guys believe that if there is alien life out there, which I know Caleb says there isn't, if there was, per se, Caleb, this can be hypothetical for you, if there was alien life, do you think it would have a conscience like humans do?
I think it depends because, like, I don't. If it's like a, what do you call them? Like a microbial, like the little tiny microorganisms. Do they have conscience, or is that? I don't think they do. But didn't they find something out there? Did you guys ever hear about that?
I've never heard of anything
I might have just making that up. But anyways, if it's something like that, probably not. I think that like how, like most people when they think about aliens, we think about the Greys, like humanoid looking creatures, stuff like that. But I mean, I think that if there was something, and if like we saw it, then I think that there would be. I think they'd have a conscience, but I don't know if they'd have like morals, or I don't really know how how their brain would work. Is that what you were asking? Something along those lines?
To kind of go into more detail on my question, do you believe they would have a conscience like that? I know what you're talking about, microbial beings, but do you think they would be animals? Like there are like chimpanzees are very close to us in genetic DNA, and they're supposedly diverged from us along the same ancestral line, but they're animals. They don't have a conscience. They just react on instinct and primal urges. Whereas we have consciences, we can feel guilt. We can feel moral right and wrong.
Well, I think the only way we'll be able to find that out is like if they're just like what you're saying, if they're animals, the only way we're going to know is if we find them, because they're not going to find us. That's how I think about it.
I think that depends on how they live, how they survive and cope. I mean, animals need to be aggressive and not feel anything to survive. If you think about it, they need to learn how to kill things without feeling pain. Humans feel more emotion when they kill something instead of an animal because they have to do it for survival. So I think it depends on what situation the aliens are in. It's like anything. If they have a conscience, we have probably bigger brains. I mean, not bigger brains, but we have a better mindset than all the animals, but I don't know.
I got a question for you guys. When do you think that humans, they, how am I trying to word this? When humans first started to like come up with morals and like get out of the primitive animal brain type thing. You see what I'm saying? Because like cavemen, their whole purpose was just eat and do all that, and like they didn't really have any laws or rules. So when do you guys think that that first started to come about?
So I'm gonna preface this. Sorry, Caleb. I'm gonna preface this with saying I am a Christian, and so I wanted to preface that I was born and raised a Christian. So my whole life I've grown up, and I was raised as a New Earth Christian, which means that they believe that the Earth wasn't made until about 10,000 years ago, and which is contrary to a lot of um, theories today. And also, we didn't believe in evolution when I was a kid. Now, I've listened to a lot of theoreticals and, you know, Christian theology and other theologies on evolution and New Earth. I do believe now in the Big Bang Theory. I don't necessarily agree exactly where the source comes from. I believe that God created the Big Bang and it made the universe. And but evolution, I haven't really studied that much up on. I'm more focused on the other subject. I'm trying to read up more on it. But coming from that perspective, I do believe that humans, as as we are today, including our ancestors and everything, because I believe they were still made by God in His image. So I don't think He kind of just chose one point, like at one point we were fish, as they say, and like we came out of the sea and onto land. I don't think He chose that point to just put a conscience in us. I think they've always had a conscience, but like you said, cavemen, they weren't always like they had to be more instinctual because they had to survive. They couldn't use most of their brain to focus on political matters like we do today, or religion or stuff like that. But I think they still had a conscience. I think they still knew if they killed another human, I think they still knew that was wrong, because I believe every human has an internal moral compass that they're born with because God created us that way. Because even if you see like the Nazis, they were terrible evil, right? But they even knew what they were doing was wrong. That's why they had to call the people they killed, like the Jews and the Gypsies and the black people in Germany, they had to call them subhuman to make themselves feel like it wasn't murder. They had to change up the classification. And so that just kind of shows to me an internal moral compass that everybody has. So that was kind of a long-winded reason for that, but
You said fish couldn't go into humans. After watching The Little Mermaid, I'm pretty sure I changed my mind about that. Um, Ariel was half fish, half human, so it is possible. So you can't put that out of the table yet, unless they prove that wrong. But yes, I do believe in evolution. Um, I took a class in college, New Testament. Our teacher, he was a pastor, and he said he believed in dinosaurs, which not many Christians do. But Cooper does, maybe, I'm not sure. But he said he believed that after they started finding bones and people from his church that worked on, I don't know what it's called, they were finding bones, and he said he started believing in dinosaurs, and he's a pastor in a Christian church. So who knows?
sorry, and just quick, I do believe in dinosaurs, but like most Christians I know do believe in dinosaurs. They believe that humans existed along the same time as dinosaurs, which disagrees with the timeline of evolution, though. So that's what I'm gonna say.
The reason why I brought that up is because I'm listening to an audiobook right now about the Comanche Indians, and when the white people came out and settled in Texas, and they wrote about how they had absolutely no morals and regard for other people's lives. That's why I brought that up, because like when the white people came out, they had a moral compass and like a moral code. And then when the Comanches came in, they did unspeakable things to them, and they acted like they weren't even humans. So I guess that's just why I brought that up.
Yeah, in that situation, I know we're kind of off the original question, but we can get back to that later. We're going to finish this tangent. On that, I still believe that the Comanches back then, even though, like, a lot of acts were atrocious back then. Like the Aztecs, for instance, they sacrificed people by ripping their heart out while they were still alive to a god. But the reason they had a reason for that, they thought they were sacrificing it for the good. They didn't think they were just willingly taking human life. They thought it was for the good of the gods and the land and the rest of the people.
I have another question. So, I guess I'm going to get at the religion side of this. When most people came and conquered, they brought over their views and their morals. So, this is getting a little controversial. So, let's say when Cortez came over and took over the Aztecs, and then they tried to convert them to Christianity, how do you know who's right? That's the big question. How do you know who's right about like their religion?
Well, if there was one way to figure out which religion was right, I don't think there'd be such controversy over religions today. So that's, from my point of view, the evidence I've seen from historical records, the Bible, and eyewitness accounts back in the day through historical records, and also just the history of the world has kind of shown me that the Bible is true. And so if the Bible is true, then that means that Christianity is a true religion. So that's how I was raised. I will say I haven't necessarily gone into the great theology of, Islam or Hinduism or all that. I don't know all of that, but to me, Christianity makes the most sense.
I understand that. To me, I'm completely confused about the whole thing because, like, the way I look at it is if I take a step back and I'm just like, who's right? Because when one group comes in, changes everything, pushes their views on these people, they don't like it, and these people have been practicing this faith for God knows how long. But I don't know. I think it's just a difficult question to answer because, like, all across the world, everyone's different and they all have different views. But then one group comes in and pushes their views, and then it changes in the long run for the history of the humans.
Another good boon in the favor of Christianity, at least in the specific case against the Aztecs, is that the Aztecs literally did human sacrifice, whereas that's not a Christianity. That's not a belief in Christianity. So I believe human sacrifice is wrong because I feel it's wrong. That's kind of my moral compass thinking, it's wrong to be killing people to appease the gods. Because if you have to kill somebody to appease a god, that kind of isn't a god I really want to worship anyway. So
I think religion is based off to give off hope. To have a thing to go be together every Sunday or be together one day or have all these similar views on something, bring together people. I don't think anybody's wrong or right because we have no proof. We have proof, but we don't know who's right. It could all be one thing with different details, but in every book could have one thing, but it's just not correct. You know what I'm saying? Like not all religions' views are all correct, but there could have specific ones that are correct, and it all could come together.
Yeah, I think that, well, if you look back in history, everything is written by, like, let's say something was written by one person, and it just, down the line, it's their own interpretations and it's their own words. So then it's like, everyone's going to get something a little different.
Yeah, I'm back, guys. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties and my computer crashed. But yeah, I'm back. So I didn't really pay attention to a whole lot of that conversation, but carry on.
To back to what you said, I don't think that religion was created just as a social thing because there's plenty of social things that the world has had. We've had drinking since forever. Drinking is one of the oldest things that people learned how to do. Literally in the Bible, one of the first things you hear about is wine. And but I think, and people have known how to make alcohol from grains forever. So I don't think it was a social thing. I think that religion, well, see, I'm religious myself, so maybe I have a biased view of it, but I think religion is the main purpose of man. Like, to serve God as a Christian, I believe that is my main purpose as a human. But if you want to think about it, if I was not religious, if I was an atheist, I can think of it through that lens. I would think that humans need a point, because there is no other point in human life if you don't have religion than to reproduce and die.
I don't think it was made based off hope, but I think it's used to give hope. You know, people nowadays use it to give hope. I mean, I believe God is real. I just don't know which one's right. You know, we don't know who's correct and who's wrong. But I believe there's a God.
And in my opinion, I think it's probably the most important question to figure out which one is right if you are thinking that way. Because almost all of these gods say, I'm the one who saved you from your life, or from eternal damnation in the case of Christianity. So I think it's a very important question. It's not something like you should just toss to the side and be like, "Oh, I'll get to it tomorrow." I think it's an important question personally. But to go back to your point, you said earlier that like maybe one person wrote it and then got diluted in different ways. That is kind of close to what happened with Christianity and Islam. Islam is it's kind of a branch off of Christianity, because they have Noah. I do believe they have Noah. They definitely have Abraham in it, and Judaism is also, it's not technically an offshoot. Technically, Judaism was a thing before Christianity, and then Christianity came when Jesus did. And then also the Book of Mormon. So there's like 3 different offshoots of Christianity. And so even then, when you say you're a Christian, it gets even harder, and then you have to keep narrowing it down to, I'm Episcopal or something like that.
Honestly, I think that anybody, it's just as long as they think they're correct, that's the views. I mean, I don't like when people, get mad because someone believes something other. It's what they believe. I mean, respect it. They believe in it, and just, I don't know, it's personal.
Gosh dang, I'm sorry guys. I just had a brain fart. I knew what I was gonna get. But Caleb, I just wanted to make sure, since you did have those technical difficulties, are we recording this section now?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. Just making sure.
Leave it to the only person, I guess you're recording too, but the main person who usually records, that's the one whose computer crashes. But I get it. It's fine.
All right, did you guys ever hear that conspiracy? I mean, it's really dumb. I mean, we're talking about conspiracies, that people don't believe that the Columbine shooting ever happened.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. It's true.
But there's people that think that the Holocaust didn't happen either. There's a bunch of just knuckleheads out there. There's even people that think that chocolate milk still comes from brown cows.
Okay, that one's just stupid. But there's so much evidence for like the Holocaust, especially. But, like, even with like Columbine, they have like surveillance footage and stuff and eyewitness accounts of it happening. So I don't know.
Do you know what they said about it? Like, the ones that don't believe it happened, they just said that it's like some government conspiracy, or what'd they say?
I know that they were saying that like pictures were like lies and all that. Like there was, I'm looking at it right now. I remember seeing this and I thought it was crazy because it's things that people went through. And Cooper, go.
All right, let's see if I can remember it this time. I have it typed up here on my computer so I don't forget. But back to the religious point. I'm really sorry to get you back to this. I just wanted to make another point. I do believe that religion has a purpose in life, and I think you're right in your hope perspective about it. But I think religion is a good thing for humanity. I think some people think it just because it gives hope, it's not a good thing. But I think considering like you can kind of tell like back in the day nobody was perfect. Racism still exists, which is against a lot of religions. But when people were more religious, they had more of a reason to live. Like today, you see suicide rates spiking, and you also see the suicide rate going up, and you see the religious rate going down. And I think that's a part of people are losing hope, but also I believe that it has to do with I also think people are replacing religion with other stuff, such as politics. Like if you ask somebody 20 years ago if they were Democrat or Republican, you could still be friends with them. But nowadays, a lot of people can't be friends with somebody who's on the other aisle because people are. It's almost like if I was back in the day when if you said you were a Muslim and I was a Christian, it was like, oh, I'm gonna cut your throat or something like that, or you were gonna cut my throat. Either way, but people have that same view with politics nowadays, and I think it's terrible to do that to politics, especially just because it's not. To be honest, most of the stuff that happens in politics doesn't affect you day to day. Like I'm not saying it's not important. It is important. I don't think it's the most important thing though.
Politics,
You can go back to Columbine now.
well, politics is just a power thing now. It's all about who wants to be in office, who has the most power, who wants control, and then it's just a status thing now. That's how I see it.
Well, that's all politics has ever been, to be honest with you.
They don't really care, like as well. I'm not even gonna say as much as they used to. They just don't care anymore.
I know that the people were saying that they don't believe that it happened because they think it was like a government implanted thing. They think it was kind of like to cause fear. I'm trying to find what they tried to use as evidence for it not to be. But I mean, obviously, it's kind of. I think it's dumb that people try to say it's a conspiracy theory because I mean, clearly you can't. It kind of sounds like it's a. I feel like it's hard when it includes lives. When you use conspiracy theories.
Well, when talking about lies and conspiracy theories, we could also go back to like since you were just talking about politics, we could talk about like the Clintons and all that crap going on.
And go ahead.
Blake, you were talking about like Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever her name is.
Ghislaine, whatever her name is. Whatever her name is. But yeah, I know that she got arrested a few days ago, and actually I just finished watching that Epstein documentary on Netflix, which is really good, but it's also very, very dark. But I'm really hoping that she stays alive in these next few months, so she's actually able to bring down all of the people that were involved and just hopefully knock out a big chunk of the people who committed all those horrible acts.
But since everyone, because like everyone says that Clintons and everything that killed Epstein and all that, but if they did it to her next, since everyone's like been making memes and stuff about it, they're like it's too suspicious for them to do anything. So I don't know. It's a tough spot for them to be in because if they do just like kill people off, I don't know.
I don't think they care, honestly. Like everyone was like, Epstein's gonna die because of all this, because of his involvement with all these super high ups. And like even then people were like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. And when it did, everyone's like, oh, I'm not surprised. And then as soon as she got arrested, everyone's like making bets on when it's gonna happen. So I don't think that
they should just go along with it and just like someone predicts it and they just like, yeah, we'll do it on that day.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people just know it's gonna happen, and then the people who do it just don't care anymore.
Yeah, I mean they're powerful enough people to stop, like to not let anything happen to them. So,
and then what are we gonna do about it? I mean, we have
nothing.
We can't do anything. It's just we just have to watch it play out.
Did you guys hear that she wrapped her phone in aluminum foil so she couldn't be traced?
She believes in aliens, dude. That's why.
You don't have to wrap your stupid phone in aluminum. Just smash it on the ground or throw it away. People are idiots. Who cares if it can be recovered? If you're just trying not to get tracked, there you go.
I mean, she is really rich. I mean, she could buy just a track phone from Dollar General. I mean, they're not gonna know.
Yeah, just go buy some of
completely
those
off the
dollar
grid.
phones. Yeah, just go buy those dollar phones at like the Quick Stop or something.
Bro, just do what El Chapo did. Live in some mountains or something. I mean, do something different. Get out of New York. Why the hell are you in a populated place?
Who's more powerful? The Epstein people and all them, or the drug cartels?
Drug cartels. Drug cartels are definitely never gonna die off.
They're probably
Why?
correlated somehow. So I don't know.
I can
Probably
see
true.
that. They probably give the drugs to drug people, which is screwed up either way.
It's just a trade.
It's just a big old organization of criminals, and we're all screwed.
So we'll segue here. I don't remember what got my mind started on this, but when Blake and I are at school, like at college, we watch a lot of YouTube videos, either animals just like attacking other animals. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to just talk about stuff like that for a little bit. Blake,
So, what's your like actual specific question? Like, do you just want to talk about
No,
how
it's-
cool it is?
Blake
it's,
knows.
it's cool as hell. No, all we do, like, okay.
To your point
I love
about
them because
we're not
it
top of the
shows
food
how
chain, and you said we're
weak
nothing
we
without
are
our.
in, I'm gonna say
what
the
did you
real
say?
world.
Sorry. Without our
outside of
civilization.
the civilized
That's
human
the
realm.
reason we are.
Because if you really think about it,
is
if you
because we
step
can
outside
build.
with
Because
absolutely
first off,
nothing, you are
early humans
literally
learned
screwed
how to
unless
make
you have
tools,
at least a
or
little
learned how
bit
to
of
use
experience.
Whereas
outdoors.
no other animal has figured that out.
Talking about
Chimps
the
can
food chain.
kind of do it.
I mean,
but
if
barely,
we live
just
like
because they have
animals,
opposable thumbs. You
lions
don't
and
see a
all them
leopard out
would
there running
destroy
with a
us.
knife in it.
And as I see how people act,
You don't,
now,
and that's
I
why
mean,
we.
They don't need a knife in their mouth. They're already equipped.
I thought that because we
Yes,
were talking
but
about like
a
cavemen
leopard-
and knives in their mouth, like just having to survive.
Yes,
and-
but
I
a
think it's-
leopard can't
I
outrun
think
a
it's also
3,000
how
feet
we're-
per second bullet, and that's what humans'
well, I think it's
advantage is.
they
we have a
could
conscience,
they could
we
have
have
been stronger back
scientific
then because
smarts
that's what they were
that can
adapted to.
We can't
Since we grew into a life
physically
of,
match you most of the time.
kind of safe.
But an
We grew
elephant,
in a
we can
house
take them
which
down with a
protection,
bullet
and
now.
they grow in
We can do
automatic
anything, you
survival
know.
instincts
That's
where
why
they
we're
have
the
to-
top of the food chain. That's why
from
bears
young
aren't.
age, you probably have to learn how
I
to
agree.
hunt.
I
how
see
to
what
do
you're saying,
things to
but the
survive.
reason, like,
We don't do that. We
is
learn how
I
to get on
love
our
to watch
phones and
videos
be
of people
assholes.
that go out and they
But
have
that's it, yeah.
no idea what they're dealing with. Because like they go out, they think that they're dealing with some cuddly little animal, and all of a sudden, bam, on the ground.
Yeah, it's so brutal and just savage.
We're not bad people. That's the thing. We just like watching stupid people learn in not the best way possible.
Like Russian videos. Anytime there's a Russian involved, it's hilarious.
I want to go back to Cooper's thing though. With technology and everything, let's just say you're going to walk and a bear comes up to you. Who's gonna win? I mean, without a gun, you're not ready. Bear just walks on. I mean, technology's already here, but it's just gonna walk onto you. Who's gonna win?
Dude, sometimes you don't. Even if you have a gun, they can still f you up.
I'm pretty sure they're up top of us in the food chain. They don't even need technology to beat us. I mean, that just shows a lot.
Then why are I don't need an article or anything to tell me why. Or you're using logic, which I appreciate. But I know we're at the top of the food chain because we're not run over by bears. We hunt bears for sport. We hang their heads up on our wall.
Because bears don't care about cars. All they care about is fish and freaking poop, bro. That's all they care about. We think about going to San Francisco. We think about iPhones.
They don't care
We
about
think
solving
about-
bear racism or rioting. They just freaking eat and hunt and...
Exactly. If bears had cars, they would be even powerful than we were. I mean, just think about all these animals having cars. We're screwed.
Okay, but what you said earlier, you said if you come across a bear in a forest and you don't have a gun, then you say, oh, you're dead. That's true. That's why we invented guns, so we could be at the top of the food chain. I'm saying if you take away tools like guns, like knives, you are taking away humanity's advantage. It'd be like taking away a bear's size or claws or teeth. It's taking away their advantage.
Just wait until bears start making guns. We are.
driving cars. You just
Bro,
see a
just-
bear driving street. Ain't
just
nothing
wait.
gonna stop this from happening
Just
tonight.
wait 40 years until you see a monkey driving a Cadillac right next to you.
There was a monkey driving that freaking moped that tried to steal a baby. Did you see that?
they're
They're
coming.
already advancing,
Yeah,
dude.
monkeys drive mopeds all the time, dog.
Have you guys seen Planet of the Apes? It's possible. I mean, Cooper, you can't take everything out.
There's your apes and with their guns. I mean,
They're gonna be like Toto, and they're like boom boom. I mean, like it's gonna be amazing.
I hope you do understand that the main focus point of the first Apes movie.
I'm not
is
talking about the first one.
Okay, well, I'm saying that's how the rest of the movies were made.
I don't
That's how
care.
They end up being able to wield machine guns.
But
and
they
everything.
are
humans.
woke. But they are so woke though. I mean, once those things start learning how to use these things, we are. I mean, I would be happy if an ape killed me with a car, bro. I would die with a smile, cause then I would be like, I would be like, wow, these animals are smarter than us. We got what we deserve finally. I mean, they're coming back.
Back to Cooper. What I was meaning by, like you said, that we're the top of the food chain because of our civilization and our technological advances, which is absolutely right. Because like in the comfort of our homes and like our cities and towns or whatever, we're literally untouchable. But as soon as we step outside of that bubble, that's what I'm talking about, is that we're literally not crap. Because even if you have, like, because we're so used to living in our safe spaces, basically, that as soon as we step outside of that, we don't really know what to do. Like, we don't know how to get our own food. We don't know how to, like, grow our own food. Some people do. We don't know how to find water. We don't know how to make shelter, make fire, any of that. So that's what I'm meaning by, like, if we step outside of our comfort zone and out of the civilization bubble, I guess, that we're literally not crap compared to. We'll probably outsmart the thing, or like outsmart the animals and stuff down the road. The reason why I say this is like, if everything goes to crap and we have to start over, like if electricity goes out, we are literally screwed. Think about it. We might not be screwed, but most people will be screwed. Because we can live off of that stuff, or we can go without our phones, we can go without other stuff. We can find our own water, we know how to hunt our own food, but most of the population and across the whole world, they don't know how to do that. So that's what I'm trying to say.
So wait, your argument is that most people today are too stupid and also don't care enough about survival instinct. I would agree with that. He let the record show he nodded yes. But like that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah, and I would agree with you on that. But I thought humans as a species, that's also a byproduct of our civilization, is that we are allowed to get fat and lazy off the work of other hardworking men, such as the people who conquered the nation, people who conquered wild lands like Russia and Siberia and like that, which Siberia is mostly still unconquered, but. And I don't think it's a very good byproduct because I think it makes us lazy fat asses. But
I mean, I completely agree. But what I'm saying is, like, if we just lost everything that we have now, we would be screwed. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if everything just went to crap, we would literally be at the very bottom of the food chain.
Okay, Cooper, you said animals don't use technology, right? No. Let's go back to this, buddy. Animals use technology, just not our technology. They don't have phones, which an iPhone's not gonna make you survive outside in the wild, buddy. I'm sorry to tell you that. It could give you information to kill something, but
what about a GPS where they can find your location?
Learn how to use the freaking wild to get yourself around. We're not always gonna have a GPS.
Why do you have a $300 GPS watch?
Because I like cool shit whenever I go out and do hunting stuff. That's why I have it. It makes it easier. Yes.
Wait, gorillas are used seen sticks, right? They use sticks to measure how deep pools are. That's technology. I mean, that's just them using their own technology. It might not seem fantastic, but it's technology. And then, wait, I'm not done yet. And then birds, right? I mean, crows. They are very smart birds. Crows, I've seen a video about crows doing some stuff that just, I'm woke.
Fun fact about crows, they're like best friends with wolves. Because they have like some weird secret pact where when the wolves kill something, the crows will come down and eat.
And guess what?
Relationship.
Crows and wolves just went up in the food chain.
Wolves have been at the top of the goddamn food chain since they've been around.
Yeah.
No one can change their mind. Anyways,
Yeah, no.
so crows and wolves follow each other around, and
Crows get them sloppy seconds. Not
basically,
the
yes.
kind you're thinking.
But also,
food.
they're also the alarm system. So if another rival group of wolves comes up, or if like a bigger predator such as a bear or like a, I don't really think a mountain lion would step up on a bunch of wolves, but I think it's really cool how like they have that relationship.
Yeah. Do you guys believe in Bigfoot? I'm just kidding. No.
His name is Daryl. Have you guys not
It is
seen that
Daryl.
Progressive commercial?
I feel like Bigfoot is just a freaking. It was the caveman that became a basketball player.
It's to do with big feet. That's all it is.
I think Yao Ming's a Bigfoot.
It's Shaq, dude. That's all it
Shaq.
is.
Yao
He's just-
Ming.
Yao Ming from
They all-
Jonathan Holmes.
They all
Yeah.
just shape. That's what it is.
Freaking Taco Fall. Bigfoot.
Taco Tall. What?
Taco. I mean, Taco Fall should be a freaking Taco Bell taco.
Speaking of Taco Fall and Shaq and all those guys, Cooper, you wanted to talk about sports?
Wait. Let me just clear something
Which
up
is
real quick. The reason why we brought up the animals is because everyone stay educated, don't do dumb shit, and just don't mess with wildlife. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk
If
about
you go to a
animals.
zoo,
And watch lots
Right.
of animal YouTube videos. They're dope.
Become humble by watching people get attacked by animals because of their arrogance and what's the word I'm looking for? Stupidity.
if you're one of those people that go up to like bears in the wild and pet them, you should go in a zoo and try to play catch with the lion.
It's just a normal.
I
day
heard
in
it's
Russia.
fun. Yeah,
And if you're in a drive-in safari, do not get out of your car.
please feed every animal you can.
Nope.
I heard
There's a
it's
YouTube video about that too. Please go watch it.
I
Please stay
heard-
educated.
Okay.
I heard it's a great experience.
Okay, Cooper, you can go now. We're done talking about that.
You might lose a hand.
All right, this segment is going to be called Cooperstown because that is the name of the town where the Baseball Hall of Fame is, and baseball is my favorite sport. But I love sports. I love watching everything. So first we're going to do, yeah, Marco, you can go take a bathroom break or whatever you want. I'm just going to be doing this. There's not really much to debate. I'm just going to be doing a little news segment. So what's going on in the world of sports? I'm going to try and not mention coronavirus too much, or the Kung Flu. I think that's my favorite term for it. I don't say it too much though. But I'm going to try not to mention that too much because I think y'all have heard enough of that already. But so the baseball season is actually going to start this Friday. With two games are going to be played on Friday, and then I think 14 games are going to be played the next day. And they're actually currently playing summer camp games for baseball. The Mets have played the Yankees twice. The White Sox and the Cubs are playing tonight. Looks like the White Sox ended up winning that one. A bunch of teams have been playing each other just to kind of keep the pitchers warm. Getting ready for a lot of their starters were pitching tonight. Kyle Hendricks was pitching for the Cubs. Max Scherzer pitched for the Nationals last night just to keep their arms warmed up. For those of you who don't know, in baseball, pitchers' arms can, if they're cold when they pitch, it can severely affect their performance. Not only their performance, but also their injury. They can get injured very easily on a cold arm, and so that's why pitchers pitch every 4 or 5 days. Because if they don't do that, if they have like a week off or so, they'll usually pitch a day or do pitching practice because they want to keep their arm warm, because it can severely. There have been a lot of Tommy John surgeries results from that, from having a cold arm. But so to start it off, I'm actually going to look up the MLB schedule for just to make sure I'm right. Okay, on Monday. Monday is when the season kind of gets into the head. Those are still summer camp games, sorry. Thursday, the July 23rd, the New York Yankees take on the reigning world champions, the Washington Nationals. New York's supposed to be a very good team this year, and they're ranked top, probably the top team in the AL. I've heard the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they're definite wild card in the AL. But then the San Francisco Giants take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. A little Cali action there. That'll be a good game. Honestly, I'm just excited to watch baseball again. Been getting every ounce of it I can recently. And then the next day, there's just about 15 games. So if you are looking for something to do on Friday, July 24th, I can guarantee you there will be a baseball game on anytime after 3 p.m. So looking forward to that. 60-game season this year. All teams will have every team will have a DH this year instead of just the American League teams, and it's going to be basically a sprint, considering the usual number of games for a baseball season is 162, so 102 more games usually. But I think that'll make this season more exciting. I really hope next year we can go back to the original format, and also I'm a hardcore no DHer in the NL at least. Because I don't know, I think it should be against the Constitution personally, but and so that's baseball. Caleb, did you have something
I was
to add?
just saying because I'm a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan, and I'm kind of upset because they denied approval for playing this year.
Yeah, if you didn't hear Toronto Blue Jays last night officially announced that they would be playing the season in Buffalo because the Canadian federal government denied them approval to play in the Rogers Center in Toronto. And so I think it would be hilarious. The Toronto Blue Jays they're kind of in a rebuilding year, so I don't really think they're going to be making a push for the
Ride or die. It doesn't matter to me.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying I don't think they're going to be making much of a push for the playoffs. But if they made it to the World Series, it would be the first time that the World Series has been played in Buffalo since, the early 1920s. I'm pretty sure that was back when they had a team. But and they will have 3 teams in New York for the first time since 1957 when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. So interesting factoid about that. Next league I'm going to talk about is the NFL, and I'm really excited for this NFL season. I'm hoping we could play a full NFL season, 16 games with a bye week. I mean, I can see them possibly shortening it. It's also a winter sport, and I know a lot of officials are worried about how winter affects most viruses, makes them stronger because of our weaker immune systems in the winter. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that too much. I'm hoping this whole stuff's over by NFL season. But I'm a very hopeful guy. Looks like the Buffalo Bills are really championed right now to win the AFC East since Tom Brady left. I think the Patriots are making a decent push. I think they could. It depends on Cam Newton, really. And boy, did they get a steal for him. He gets paid less than 41 of the kickers in the NFL right now. And that's just crazy to me, considering he was he was in the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and also NFL MVP. I just hope he can get back to old Cam. If he can get back to old Cam, I do believe he could lead them to possible at least wild card spot. The way the Patriots are set up, they always have a good D. Their wide receiver core could use something, but they with Cam in there, I don't know. I do think he's a wild card, so I think maybe he could get him there. Marco, do you have something to add?
What do you think decreased Cam Newton's value?
I think it was a case of the yips, and that he never really got over it. Considering his main focus, the reason a lot of people blame Cam Newton for losing Super Bowl 50, I believe it was, against the Broncos, because of that one fumble where Von Miller rips it out of his hand, and he didn't dive for it. You see him go in like he's gonna, and then he pulls out. Honestly, I can see why you would want to do that. You're a superstar quarterback. You just won, Player of the Year. One fumble shouldn't, if you play the game right, you shouldn't turn the game around. So I don't know why you'd want to get injured, because then you don't have as much of a choice. You might get the fumble, but you might not. It looked pretty covered up by the time I saw. And then I think after that, he just kind of wasn't the same. I don't think he had the confidence anymore. He still had decent years in 16 and 17. Injuries also have plagued him, through since then. But and that really affects his mobile quarterback style. But I can definitely see him coming back. I mean, he had last year, almost all year sat out in, I think he only plays 3 games. And he didn't tear up the league in those 3 games, but I think under the coaching of Bill Belichick, he's not really known as a quarterback whisperer, but he is the best the best football coach in the NFL right now, in my opinion. Andy Reid's up there, but I think he's the best one. I mean, the guy's got, 6 Super Bowls, 9 appearances.
Good record.
Yeah. I'm not going to go through each division because I took way too long on the AFC East. But NBA, Caleb, did you want to talk a little bit about the NBA?
I didn't really have anything. The only thing that I've even paid attention to regarding the NBA recently is like the James Harden thing where he was wearing that Blue Lives Matter mask, and then just like some of the athletes like Anthony Davis has said that he's not gonna put a social justice message on the back of his jersey because like 285 out of 350 players have committed to putting a message on his jersey, but he said that like the last name Davis is something that he tries to represent every time he's on the floor, so he was torn between whether or not he was going to change it, but he just thinks that there's many other ways we can send our message, unquote. So yeah, I didn't really have much.
All right. For the NBA, I'm just gonna give I think the Lakers are gonna make it. I would love to see a Lakers-Clippers NBA championship. I think that would be amazing. It's really sad. It would be really sad if it happens this year, though, because you wouldn't have the city of LA crowding into the Staples Center every night just to watch that. I think that would be a spectacle. I think it would probably be one of the loudest sporting events ever as well, because 2 LA teams going at it, I think that'd be amazing. I want to see. I don't know what's going to happen with Zion now that he left the bubble for his family emergency. I hope everything's well with him. But I don't know if he's allowed back in. Don't know the rules on that specifically. I think if he does come back, I'd love to see him perform well, because some players always have that, like Clayton Kershaw in the postseason. Sorry, he's a pitcher. I know a lot of baseball, but he amazing pitcher, best pitcher of the 2010s, in my opinion. At least the early 2010s. But the guy usually can't perform in the playoffs as well as he does in the regular season. And I really hope that Zion doesn't become one of those regular season kind of guys who can only perform in the regular season. I don't think he is. I'm not saying that, but that is one concern you have when watching a future superstar.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't really had a chance to see, and I don't know if we will, because who knows if they're going to let him back in. I mean, I don't see why the NBA wouldn't, because he would bring so much money, because I don't know. Obviously, they're probably not going to have people in the stands, and if they do, there won't be near as many as there would have been. But I don't know. It's definitely something that would have been cool to see, because the dude cut a ton of weight, of fat anyway, and then brought a lot of it back in muscle. And I don't know. I just think it would have been really sweet to see him play.
We covered the main 3 from America. We covered MLB, NFL, NBA. If you guys want us to cover hockey, or I don't know if you like cricket
Football?
Or something, give me. I'd love to look up new sports, and I can look up news from there. You probably will know more about it than me, but I'd love to talk about it. If you like to hear me talk about it, just send us in a little tweet or something.
I'd rather talk about like MMA or even rugby more than cricket, but whatever.
Yeah. We could talk about MMA if one of y'all wants to talk about it.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions about MMA, hit us up.
Hit Blake up. Hit Blake or Marco up. I'm starting to learn a little bit, but
Marco is still having technical difficulties right now, but he had a question. Do we think that Zion Williams should have been the cover? Zion Williamson. Sorry. Yeah, I always mean to say Williamson. Blake says John Morant for sure. Caleb looked like he wasn't so sure.
I have paid zero attention to NBA this year.
Well, in the games that Zion played, he was...
Yeah, but he's been hurt.
So. That's the problem, yeah. He was pretty dominant in those games. And, well, I mean, I think that John Morant's more deserving because he played a hell of a year, and he also played more games.
Dude is a stud for being...
I think think if John Morant had been something like an average player for the whole season compared to Zion being like a beast for the entire season, then yeah, I would get, or for half a season, then I would say yeah, give it to Zion. But John Morant has been a baller. Like, he's been putting up points per game stats crazy. He's been clutch when they need him to be. And the Grizzlies, honestly, that's the only reason they're still in there, because of the Grizzlies.
The dude tries to yam on the biggest dudes, and it's so awesome. Like, who cares if he misses them?
He's so freaking close every single time. It's so baller. But one thing I'd love to see with Zion is one thing that I noticed is when he was when he was healthy and actually playing games, he had a kind of like, well, obviously he's a different style player, but like I really hope when he comes back he keeps up the dominant post game, because I feel like NBA's posts now are just trash.
Mm-hmm. Everyone
Because,
just
like,
tries to go for long shots.
Because when he was in, they had no idea how to guard him. He was like, I'm not gonna say a Shaq type, because Shaq was just a freaking animal down there, but like he's showing flashes of that style of play again, which is honestly really cool to watch, because the inside game is, I think it's a lost art in the NBA now, because now everyone just shoot threes and
shoot threes or just like try and fade away or get away from the defense instead of just being a man and posting up in the paint.
yeah, because like I think the physicality in the paint now is pretty weak compared to what it used to be, and then when he played, he showed that, or he exposed the weakness of the paint or defenses, because he averaged so many boards and he literally just dominated everyone down there. So I really hope when he comes back that he can keep up all that inside dominance, because it's honestly really fun to watch.
I think it would be really unfair though if John Morant didn't win it just because he played the whole season, at least most of it, and Zion came back. I mean, he didn't have his chance to prove himself to be Rookie of the Year, but he didn't come back the full year. I mean, he just came back in the middle of it, and it's kind of hard to win it like that. I mean, kind of be like Ben Simmons winning his second year. But
yeah, but didn't John Morant literally lead the Grizzlies to be the 8th seed?
I mean, he
They
did.
haven't been in the playoffs for quite a while.
He led a bad team. I mean, not a bad team, but he led a team that's struggling. Pelicans have Ball. They have Brandon Ingram, Hart, JJ Redick, great 3-point shooter. They have that new center. He's a rookie, Hayes.
They still have Jahlil Okafor. They could have had an entire starting lineup of Duke players. That would have been so awesome to see.
They have a young team that has a lot of potential. I mean, but who does Minnesota have as compared to them? I mean, they have young. I mean, Memphis Grizzlies. Sorry, they're just
Minnesota too.
Yeah, Minnesota's really good in the future, but Memphis has. I mean, they don't have big names as Pelicans have. I mean, they have some players, but not game-changing players.
And also, I think the only reason Zion would win it, like, no disrespect to him, guy plays his heart out, and you can't really get over being injured. You know, it's not something you can work harder at. But I hope he's taking steps now to where he can, I don't know, improve his form. I've seen a doctor said that, like, the way he kind of walks is kind of bad on his knees, which is what he injured, and bad on his legs. And it's just, he's such a heavy guy, and the way he plays is something, you know, it's special. That's why we love watching him, because he's a 230-pound guy going up there and slam dunking like he's 180, you know? And but I really think the only reason that the NBA would give him Rookie of the Year is maybe as a political, or not political, basically like a photo shoot, you know, and because Zion is the face of the league. Even if he's not Rookie of the Year, I would say he's the new face of the league. LeBron's still the face of the league, in my opinion. And but he's the new face of the league. He's supposed to be the next LeBron, basically. And so everybody's kind of looking at him, and he's really, John Morant's not at that level yet. John Morant's not a super, like, Zion was a superstar.
So was Ja.
John.
No, I know he was, but not to the extent that. I mean, think of the contract. Look at Zion Williams' contract. He got paid millions of dollars before he even played a summer camp.
No, he wasn't a social superstar.
That's what
but
I'm
the
saying.
thing, also, Ja came from a smaller college.
in the draft.
No, he went second in the draft, but he wasn't as big because he wasn't
Because he didn't
small.
go to Duke. Yeah.
Yeah, his college was what,
Murray
Murray State, which is a D1 school that's not as famous as Duke or Kentucky and all of them. Which is
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying John Morant definitely has superstar potential. I think he could possibly be the best player of this next generation of players coming in, maybe beating out Zion. But wait, Zion has the superstar aura around him. You know, like LeBron James when he came out of high school. You had Steph Curry when he came out of Davidson. Nobody knew about him until he started hitting them threes and making them champs for Golden State. You know, I'm just saying, I can see them doing it as a photo shoot to get more people to invest in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? I hope they don't, but I can see them doing it.
I just think it's hard to compare, like, you know, positional players, like different positions. Because, I mean, like, point guards are so much different than centers and power forwards. It's just a big difference.
Zion can play anything, really. So.
Maybe not point guard, but he can play anything down low.
Dude,
I mean, he could if he
up.
wanted. He could, but it's just not an ideal position.
I see what you're saying. But like I the NBA to me has kind of dropped off. It's just getting stale in my opinion, and some of the decisions that they make I don't agree with. But like LeBron's always fun to watch. He always has been. But it's so fun to watch, like, the younger players like Zion and Ja and, like, Luka. Luka's, God, dude's a freaking animal.
You can see, like, these young people that could be better than, like, you can see what's next, like, the next LeBron James. Or even, not LeBron James, the next great. And I think the thing that's ruining everything is they're so touchy on things that they think players are being aggressive with each other and all that. I just wish they could be aggressive and fight and all that. It would be so much exciting.
I miss when NBA was just like basketball.
Just normal basketball.
Malice in the Palace.
People are too careful now.
I think this can lead into a broader discussion on sports. I think that's what I've always loved about baseball. The bench clearing brawls. When you have Nolan Ryan and the guy who came out against him, guy was like 20, you know, just coming out of college or something, and he took exception to a pitch Nolan Ryan throws inside. If you have never seen this, you need to go online and Google Nolan Ryan punching, and I'm pretty sure it's the first video you'll see. And this kid, he's playing for the White Sox, and he took exception. Nolan Ryan always threw inside, and he was a competitor. He was gonna take his part of the plate, and the guy thought he was bigger than Nolan. Nolan just puts him in a headlock and hits him, and oh man, it's one of my favorite videos of all time. And but I think that nowadays people are too soft. Blake said that Blake didn't say that on the podcast, but he sent it to me in a text. He just said, you know, kind of randomly, like, people are too soft nowadays. But and I agree with that. I think people are like, oh, why can't they? You know, back in the day when you had the Yankees and you had the Red Sox, they weren't friends in the off season, and then they just were competing against each other in the regular season, or in the regular season and for the championship. They hated each other. No, I'm not saying you should hate a person, but I miss when people had that full on competitive spirit all the time.
Competitive rivalry.
Like Larry Bird and everybody he ever played, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, baby.
I mean, Michael Jackson. That guy could fight little kids.
No, but Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wanted to be the best at whatever he was doing, whether it was playing chess or basketball. That's the same. That's why I love Tom Brady so much. Tom Brady's my favorite NFL quarterback ever, just because the guy's never okay with losing. I remember reading a story about whenever he was on the 2007 Patriots team, they were playing for a charity against a team of firemen. And the team of firemen was beating them at halftime, and they called, like, it was the halftime timeout, and it was only like a 5-minute timeout or something. But he was talking, and I guess he came back. He came back and says, guys, we're not losing to a team of a bunch of fucking firemen. And they ended up, like, Tom got the ball the entire time, and he was just, like, slamming it on him. But the guy just doesn't want to lose. He was always a competitor, and I think we kind of lose that in the sports nowadays. Okay, what's your guys' opinion after this whole Rona stuff has gone? Do you guys like the new movies demand straight to your living room? Do you like that, or would you rather have movie theaters?
Well, I like movie theaters, but that's just because as a college student we get major discounts, so all of our movie tickets are only like $4. So I think it makes it a little more enjoyable, and it's like kind of like a like as a kid I really enjoyed going to the theater. So I think that I'm gonna be kind of upset if they all shut down or if they don't reopen. But I mean, this new on-demand movie thing where you can just buy movies straight out of the on the release dates, I think that that's really smart too, and it provides a lot of profit for those people putting them out.
I think it's smart that they're doing that, but like I have a greater sense of like camaraderie if I go with someone than either if I'm just watching it by myself, or if we're just sitting on a couch in a dark room at my house watching it on Hulu or something. Like I feel like it's more fun and more of like an activity if we're going out and going to a theater.
Personally, I don't like it because I mean, like, really at all. Because I mean, you get movies straight to your room. It's a little bit of convenience. Like for us, it's actually a lot of convenience because the nearest movie theater around us is 30 miles away. You know, so we have to drive. It's a 60-mile round trip, and that's gas. And then you got to eat and all that stuff. Whereas some people, you know, you live in a town where you can just pop in and out in 5 minutes. But
I think 5 minutes. You gotta watch the movie first.
Well, I'm saying total travel time, but I think as a culture we're losing all of our social things. What I think one of the stupidest inventions of the past, I don't know, 100 years has to be the headphone dance parties, where everybody brings their own headphones, and Blake and Caleb are both expressing disbelief at this. You bring your own headphones, and I believe either you connect to the same music source, or you play your own music and you just dance to it. I think
there's like a link or an app that you download, and then it just syncs everything up, and then you.
So far as I know, that I think there's two. I think they both exist. I think maybe the one you're talking about is more popular. First off, just get speakers, dude. Honestly, it's not that hard. And if you run a club, I mean, unless you're just trying to save money, but if you're doing it the other way and you're all dancing your own music, if you want to dance your own music, go dance by yourself. I mean, the whole point of like going out and clubbing was to have an experience with multiple people. It's the same reason I go, you know, I love to go eat out with friends, because if I eat out by myself, I'm just eating dinner. If I eat out with somebody else, you know, somebody can tell me a funny story or a funny joke. You can make a funny story or a funny joke. You know, like if I go fishing, I went fishing recently. Well, today. Fishing, I guess you could call it. We cast our lines in once because we got hit by a storm. But if I had just gone out by myself, it would have just been a crappy day going out to paying $10 for a license and then not even using it. It's a one-day license. And then I would just come back in crappy weather because of crappy weather, and I would just be mad at myself, and it would just ruin my day. But I went out with one of my friends, and it's a hilarious story. I'll be able to tell everybody. I'll be like, yeah, we went out there. It's just you can't do that there's a lot of stuff you can't do by yourself, and humans are social animals. I think movie theaters, one of the best social experiences you can do. Think of how many people have taken first dates there, or, you know, terrible first date, admittedly, because you can't talk in a movie. But, actually, that should be our next
subject.
Can't
even get to know anyone. But I just want to go to a concert venue where everyone just has their headphones on and they're just freaking dancing by themselves, or like no one's even watching. I just want to sit there in the silence and just watch everybody.
I think
it'd be hilarious.
They made me at my orientation in college, and I literally hated every single second of it. I was like,
It
bro, I
sounds
just need to
so
meet.
stupid.
It is literally the dumbest thing ever. Like, I hated the entire thing. It was so dumb.
I think the only reason it should be able to ever be built if it was right next to a nursing home and they couldn't blast the music because the old people couldn't sleep. Then have the headphones on. But if you're right next to a freaking restaurant or anywhere, why not? I mean, or even at Coachella, I see that they have them too. But they probably have it to block out the other music. But still, the nursing home thing is the only obvious reason why to have one.
I think this can be a good question for us. What do you guys believe is the best avenue or opportunity for a first date? Like dinner in a nice restaurant, I don't know, like a picnic on a Sunday afternoon or something like that, movies, whatever. What do you guys think?
I think if we lived here, like where we're from, probably like going somewhere and doing an activity would be my choice, like bowling or something.
Mini golf, solid.
Taking them out hunting.
And having a meal with someone, I mean, I think it's kind of boring nowadays. I mean, at least in our generation. I think we have to do more activities, like climb a rock and fall down.
Take your date to work.
Laugh and cry about it, yeah. Or take your date to school.
Hey, you want to come watch me be a cashier at the grocery store?
Take your date to show and tell, That'd be interesting. It's just a lot of things you could do.
You want to crawl up in an attic with me and change some wiring?
Marco, how young are your girlfriends, dude?
No, I'm taking the show and tell, Cooper.
I'm gonna preface this. I've only been on about one first date in my life, so that shows how successful I am. Which, by the way, I'm not taken right now, so it wasn't a successful first date, is what I'm trying to get at.
But he's available. He's available. All the listeners
Looking
out
for
there.
Cooper likes any kind of girl. Likes him back.
But in my opinion, I don't know. I feel like either dinner or taking her like out somewhere. Although in this day and age, people I think are scared to do the first date in a setting where it's just you two, because I think a lot of women nowadays are scared of serial killers, and I don't really blame them. I mean, you got like Ted Bundy and all them who basically would do the same thing, and then they would kill him.
You think just women are scared, dude?
Everyone is gonna have. Everyone has that thought in the back of their head.
Do you know what Melinda or Gina, I don't know, making up names right now, could do to you in the back of your house? In the back, just pick her up. She could grab a knife and just start stabbing your stomach. Just saying, it's both ways.
Men are usually stronger than women, usually, and that's just biological. So usually they're not as afraid. I'm not saying they don't have a reason to not be, but
I mean, just because you're strong,
so that's
doesn't
why
mean she's not gonna point a 9mm at my head.
She's gonna pull something out.
My question is, okay, do you guys think like?
Going out.
I was just gonna say, I don't think like we were talking about the movies earlier. I think movies would be a terrible place for a first date. Like I can see it for like a third date, because unless you did dinner and a movie, you'd have to do dinner and a movie, but you have to do the movie before, because then you have something to talk about at dinner.
Typically on the first date, you're trying to get to know the person. You don't just want to sit in silence in a dark room for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then just be like, all right, see ya. It was a fun date.
Take them to one of those clubs.
But on movies,
unless you do something afterwards.
The trick is, Caleb, is that when you're pulled over in a McDonald's parking lot getting drive-through, you can't really just put your arm around them very naturally.
Why the heck are you going to a McDonald's drive-through for your first date?
First of all, who's even doing that nowadays, bro?
Anyway, that kind of segues into a good portion. I don't think a lot of people date romantically nowadays. You know what I'm saying? With like the invention of apps like Tinder and Bumble and all that stuff. No, I'm not saying anything, but I don't think it's as romantic. Like back in the day, you used to have like, hey, can I call your home phone, and maybe your roommate will pick it up or something like that. I think people are like, you learn everything about them. If you have their number, you learn almost everything about them before you even meet in person. most times, because I don't think people do as much stuff in person. Kind of going back to my original point, like you don't even learn that much about your significant other in real life. You just text them and you're like, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite food, you know what I'm saying?
To answer your original question, I would say like go to for me would probably be like either like mini golf and then like a walk before or after, or it could be too intimate for some people, but like a picnic and then a walk or looking at the sunset or some shit like that, you know.
Okay, I mean, I would do a walk if it wasn't Mead, Kansas, because I mean, where are we gonna walk?
Beautiful sunset around the nursing home. You can walk around the nursing home.
Okay, if I was gonna walk, I mean, I would walk on the beach and then have a date on top of a rooftop that would have a beautiful.
Take a drive down a dirt road.
I'm not talking about Kansas anymore. I'm talking about.
We're not in Kansas anymore, are we? Huh? Where? Okay, Marco. Where would your ideal date be? Since you're talking about beach and then breaking and entering and
you live in Kansas, there ain't no beach.
Bro, you know how much of a rush you get in that, and you remember your first date. You have to make it memorable.
So you're gonna make every first date where you're like, all right, let's fly to Florida or California or somewhere where there's a beach.
Something that you will remember for the rest of your life.
Go big or go home. It's like, hey.
Something you can tell your kids, and your kids will be like, dang, I want to be like them.
Not every first date is worth remembering, Marco.
Maybe.
What if you take that trip to Florida, you walk on that beach for 20 minutes, she's like, nah, you ain't what I expected at all, dog. I'm out.
I can tell.
Disappearing man meme.
And you know what I'll do? I'll go to freaking Disney World, and then I'll tell all my friends about my experience in Disney World.
Depends if you paid for a ticket or not, I guess, yeah.
Well, you still have to pay for the ticket.
And then you can maybe find another girl over there. But I wouldn't fly to Florida for a girl. I mean, I would fly with the girl to Florida. But not
only for a guy.
Cooper, that is inappropriate.
Boy.
Anyway, Blake, I wanted to hear Blake's input on Cooper's original question since he's had the most experience and has had a girlfriend for like almost 4 years.
Blake is the only one with a girlfriend here out of all four of us.
Correct. Rip.
Well, no, I think the best thing to do is just listen, because like in today's day and age, like what Cooper okay, listen, like if you talk for a while before you go out, you pick up on what they like, and then I think that from there you can kind of coordinate like a cool little setup and just go along with that, because like if, like Cooper said, most of it now is just over the phone, so you learn more about someone, or you learn about their traits and stuff quicker probably than what they did back in the day, because it's over text. So then if you talk about stuff that what you guys like, then I think it's a little bit easier to coordinate and set up a date depending on what they like.
You mean like something happening like kind of organically? I mean, not like implying a date, you know, beginning just as kind of friends and then going into a date? Because I think that's what...
I mean, I think it just depends on people's situations. Like some people, they can just go up to someone and be like, hey, let's go out on Friday at 7. And then they go from there. And sometimes that works. It really just depends on the person. Most people are like, oh, I don't want to go to the movies for a first date. But then sometimes people do want to go to the movies for a first date.
It just depends on the person, honestly.
Yeah, all you have to do is just listen and communicate. That's basically the whole thing.
I completely agree with you, because like I have Tinder. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm always looking for options, you know. But I matched on with this girl, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I was just watching the sunset because I got nothing else to do. I was just having a drink and watching the sunset. And she's like, no way. It's like, I love sunsets. I have like an Instagram page like just for sunsets. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, it could be like our first date or something. So if you just like listen to what they say, then
I think you like on Tinder thing, but I think you like truly meet him in real life, you know. It's like it's a thing, you know. You could talk to them and know a lot about them, but you really know them once you talk to them and see how they act and who they are.
And like in total, it's just communication is key. Just talk to each other, tell each other what you like, tell each other what you don't like. That's very important. And then just be honest. That's all you really need to do. Just communication's key. That's my advice to all the listeners out there.
Well, yeah, I think that we're at a decent stopping point, I guess. We're all kind of tired, so this has been another great
conversation with you gents, and this has been episode 2 of the Something About Everything podcast, and we'll see you next time. Peace.